Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand, the fan forum. A little bit delayed because we were watching Liverpool Spurs on That's Football with Mark, but now it is time for the fan forum. Aston Villa 3, Manchester United 1. Not the result we hoped for. It is going to turn back into the therapy forum tonight when we've had a few good results, but one of these results was bound to happen and I think a lot of us could see it coming. We've also got a Q&A coming up towards the end of the show as well, so make sure you get your questions ready and I can put them to the panel. But without further ado, we need to kind of start breaking this down and see where it all went wrong with the panel that we've got tonight. And we have Charlie, Kev and Jordan. And Jordan, actually, I'll start with you tonight. 3-1, Aston Villa, Unai Emery in charge. I think we all knew it was going to be a tough game. Did you actually see it ending up a 3-1 scoreline before this game started?
Yeah, not 3-1, no. I actually thought we would nick it 2-1 in the end. I thought it'd be a tight game and we might nick a goal towards the end. I thought it'd be tough just because of their midfield, young, pacey, and that's the type of team that we struggle against, and also that new manager bounce. But look, I'm not overly surprised. I said a couple of weeks ago when we were asked about aspirations for the season now, given how we were playing, about finishing in the top four. I still didn't think that we would finish in the top four, and everyone was like, why are you being so negative? But I just don't think our squad is strong enough to be playing the amount of games that we're playing in such quick succession. Some players are absolutely running on fumes, and I just don't think we made enough changes. We said the other day, something needs to give, and I asked the question about, would you sacrifice the cups to concentrate on the league and Europa League? Something really needs to give. Players are absolutely running on fumes. I also want to give a mention to Bruno Fernandes, who gets absolute pelters from a lot of the fan base, but I really felt like he was missing today. And it's not necessarily what somebody does on the ball at that moment. It's the space that they create and the mental capacity in defenders that they take up because they're concerned about that player, then opens up gaps for other people. I said after the first 2 or 3 games with Eriksen that I felt like he was running out of gas after 70 minutes. He looks dead on his feet compared to how he started the season, guys. We need to be able to bring him out and rest him. The defense probably, for me, was one of the worst they've played since the first 2 games. I thought they were a little bit all over the place at times. I don't know if it's the... I say the Lindelof... Martinez thing, but they have played together and look good. So I really don't know what happened today. I thought Martinez was one of his worst games for us. And I'm not being harsh. I'm not, throwing anyone under the bus, but how he's played to today, I just don't think he was as good as he can be or has been. I thought Casemiro was a shiny light, but I just felt Eriksen just didn't offer enough next to him just because he was running on fumes.
Yeah, I would say every single person on the pitch had a bad performance, probably apart from Casemiro. I think as a team in general, it was just such a poor performance, and 100% take your point about them running on fumes. You see everyone else around us rotating either in Europe or they've got a deeper squad. Even Chelsea, who were doing crap, like they have a deeper squad than what we have when you look at the options they have. And also when you see the likes of Newcastle, who haven't got European football, they're smashing it week in, week out after a full week of rest. So it is hard for this squad to do that, and especially playing midweek and then having the new manager in charge, we knew it was going to be tough. But Charlie, where do you think it went wrong? Do you think we were just caught cold like the first 10 minutes? They were out quick and we just seemed to look slow.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've had problems with that in the past in terms of taking a while to get going, and even conceding a goal for us to give us a kick up the backside. But yeah, I mean, there's loads of excuses which obviously we can kind of come up with in terms of the players look tired, which I completely agree with. I do think some of them did look dead on their feet. I agree with Jordan in the sense of Eriksen he just, whether he's tired or not is regardless. The performance wasn't there, and he just looked at a shade of himself. But yeah, we just weren't good enough ultimately. But a lot of what I've seen on Twitter is everyone feels like it's sort of like doomsday already, and because we've lost a game of football that a lot of people haven't anticipated us to win, it seems like it's all come crashing down very suddenly, and we all need, we can use this as a reality check to remind us, as a fan base and everything, where we stand in comparison to kind of everyone else. I think obviously it's very easy for everyone to jump on the we're going to get top 4 bandwagon, and I'm not going to be funny, when you win a couple of games, it's very easy to kind of look at that. But as much as a lot of people as well can think that we're maybe, with how Liverpool and Chelsea are performing around us, we should be expected to get top 4 maybe, but we weren't expected at the start of the season. So why should we be now, really? I just think we can use it as a bit of a reality check almost, and go from there, really.
Yeah, I think it's because people have seen how good we have played and how good we're capable of playing, that when that drops off, everyone seems to be frustrated. I still think we will get top 4, by the way. I don't know if I'm one of the only ones, but I think we will. I think this was...
You're still waiting for Ollie to win the league, though, aren't you, Beth?
Oh, shut up, Jordan. Honestly, I have the power to kick you off this stream, so I will do it if you keep barking on. Honestly, I just won't come to you on the next round. But no, honestly, let me get back to my point. I think we will still get top 4. Maybe that means we won't.
Why do you think that, Beth? No, I want to get into this.
The reason I think we'll still get top 4 is because I think Chelsea look awful. We should have beat them, and they were poor today. I don't think Liverpool will come back. I think they look decent today against Spurs, and they have got quality, but I don't think they'll come back up. I think the only team that we are competing with, really, which we are going to be majorly competing with, is Newcastle. 100%. Newcastle look like they are going to be up there, and I don't want to get carried away, but I think Eddie Howe's doing a great job. Spurs, I don't think Spurs will do it.
Spurs are Spurs.
They just look... the football they're playing is just dull, and I just don't think they have the quality. It's like Harry Kane or that's it.
If they keep beating the teams below them and just lose to United, and if they keep beating all the lower half sides, then they'll be up there, won't they? So
yeah, people saying in the comments that Liverpool won't come back. I don't mean Liverpool will be like awful all season. I just don't think they'll push us out of top 4. I don't think they will. I think you've got City 100%, Arsenal 100%, and then them last 2 spots, it is a toss-up between quite a few teams. But I think, depending if we spend in January, I think we should be up there with how we've started the season. And think about it, we've played decent teams already, but sometimes it's the poorer teams we struggle against. And I do think this game after the midweek on Thursday, it was always going to be a tough one, but I think we'll bounce back. And obviously we've got the break, and hopefully we will get top 4 and being positive. But I think we will. Do you guys think we will, actually, before we move on?
No.
What about you, Kev?
What, top 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I've gone on record as saying it. We've definitely more chance of finishing top 4 than winning the Europa League. If you're looking at going down that route, do you want to win the Europa League to get into the Champions League? The thing is with the season and the way it is, the frustrating thing about Manchester United losing today is the fact that Tottenham and Chelsea have both lost. And we could have made a few points up there and kind of cemented, get into the top 4. That's the really, really annoying thing about today. If we could have got the job done.
It does feel like every time we have an opportunity to get ahead, we always squander it.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it feels.
I know, but guys, look who those teams lost to, and look who we lost to. And look at our other losses this season. Like, we lose to mid-table, mediocre sides. Like, we seem to get up to play the top 6 teams, and then you get slapped by a Brentford or slapped by Villa. Like, I get your point. I do agree with you,
There's different factors, though, Jordan. There's different factors in today's game. The factors in today's game is we're without our best player, in my opinion, Bruno Fernandes, and probably the leader of that team. You also have a new manager bounce with Emery coming in. You're at home with the fans absolutely buzzing the fact they've got Unai Emery and a new manager. We've just played midweek in Sociedad, and it was a poor performance. It was a game where everyone looked knackered. I think there is factors you've got to bring into play here. And it's like people say in the comments, 1 loss and everyone's saying no top 4, when last week on the forum, I think don't know about you guys, but all the comments were like, yes, we're going to get top 4. You can't just let 1 loss dictate your thoughts for the rest of the season.
I've been very consistent with that. I don't think we will, because of the Europa League situation. The fact that we do have to play midweek, and our squad doesn't have the depth in quality to be able to sustain it. I just don't see it. You look at Arsenal today from the week, they made, I don't know, 5-6 changes, and they were still able to play and look fresh and went on to win today. We can make one change. Like, it just isn't there for us, guys.
The squad depth isn't good enough. Go on, Charlie.
The thing is as well, you've got this is what the best teams do, right? The best teams and if we want to be one of these best teams, we've got to be able to play as many games in every competition, have that squad depth to be able to do so, deal with new manager bounces, deal with tiredness. These are all things that you've got to be able to deal with. And I don't think, as much as we can sit here and use them as an excuse, and maybe the players can afterwards go, oh yeah, we're knackered. It shouldn't really be a thing used, in my opinion, as an excuse. If you're wanting, just because you lose a game of football, you can't just turn around and be like, oh, it's all right, we were tired. Like, that's not the right mentality, is it? That's not the right mentality. I don't think that the players should have. It's not like just because they were tired in that game, it doesn't mean, you have a day off tomorrow. Like, it's just go again, and you got to go through it, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it is so frustrating because, look, beating Spurs, beating Arsenal, beating Liverpool, all performances that you can be really proud of this season, it makes you feel so disappointed when you just drop 3 points against a Villa that we should be easily beaten. But I don't know. I do think it was a bad day. And teams do have a bad day, especially teams that are in the start of like a process. People like teams like Man City or even Arsenal, now that they're on this consistent run, they probably won't have days like today. They'll have a couple of days where they have a bad day. But teams that are just starting out and have a really thin squad, there are going to be times when they have a bad day, especially when they're without certain players like Varane. Massive loss for us today. I thought that was so obvious, but I mean, we'll have to see how we get on. And I think we definitely need to spend money in January. But there's also players that aren't performing well enough, which we'll get on to. I think we're going to all talk about Donny van de Beek in a bit. I've got a few questions to ask on him. I know it's a lot of stuff that everyone's talking about, so we'll get into that. But Kev, first of all, for you, how much of a loss do you think Bruno Fernandes was today? Because I thought it was so obvious that we were missing him so much.
Yes, as Jordan said earlier, I did write that down whilst I was watching the match. And the stick that Bruno Fernandes gets, maybe them people that do give him abuse on a weekly basis. What does he bring to this team? What's he all about? Maybe today, with him not being in the team, is a bit of a reminder of what Bruno Fernandes brings to Manchester United. We're talking about the press. As Jordan says, it's not necessarily what Bruno Fernandes does with the ball. It's being able to create space, his movement, and that helps the team. And especially in a game today where the midfield area was congested, United are trying to get a foothold in it. And that little bit further forward, you are missing Bruno Fernandes. I do think, if you call it out, that Ten Hag, criticism-wise, I mean, he's more or less kept the same team as it was midweek. Garnacho starting, that excites me. But I did say after the game the other night that I would not have started Donny van de Beek in this game. And there was a few players there today totally gone missing again. And that is a bit of a worry. I'm hoping to put it down to tiredness. Listen, we have had a lot of games. But again, the book really does have to stop with a manager. It's up to him to freshen things up. And looking at that bench, it probably shows you today, yes, Sancho and Anthony not involved. Anthony is a big miss because he's been doing good things at Manchester United. But it does show you how kind of thin on the ground we are with bodies on the bench. Because you look at that bench at a certain stage and you're thinking, right, who can we throw on here? How can we change this game? Martial clearly fully not fit. He's come off the bench. Ten Hag's kind of just gone for it there and thought, let's try and get him on to do something. Definitely not 100%. And then you're looking at Elanga. Is Elanga going to change a game like that? He's not going to. And this is where Ten Hag really needs to use the January transfer market to recruit more bodies. We need more players there that in a game like this today, we can shake it up. But ultimately, you've still got the same kind of backbone to a team, but you can freshen up certain players. The top clubs can do it. And it was glaring today for me that Manchester United are missing personnel big time.
I just think with us, it's like one or two key players drop out and it seems to crumble a lot of the time. We're not at the point where a team, no matter who comes in, is consistently playing good football. And Charlie, you'll have seen Erik ten Hag's got quite a lot of criticism today. He got some criticism in the Sociedad game as well. And I just think, personally for me, I don't know really what else he could have done apart from making substitutions earlier when you could tell that the team was suffering. I think that's one thing I'd criticise. But when you look at that bench, you think, what really other options did he have? Do you think Erik ten Hag comes under criticism today? And if he does, what do you think he could have done differently?
I actually saw I think it was a Samuel Luckhurst tweet that said it was strange to see when we were obviously winning at Sociedad, when we were after that second goal, that we went to this weird, odd formation, which none of us could really determine what was actually going on. To then, when we're 3-1 down, and you obviously don't want to lose the game, to maybe you don't want to go for it as much because you don't want to then get embarrassed, but to then seeing just you kind of stick with the same formation. I mean, look, whether it's Erik ten Hag, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, I feel like the manager is always going to come under scrutiny because they're the ones that pick the team and make the substitutions, etc. But when it's the classic saying of when the players cross the white line, it's up to them to implement what the manager is asking of them to do, and they didn't, especially for the first 10-20 minutes. I mean, the free kick's a free kick, right? It's a dead ball. Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. So you got to kind of write that one off. But the first and the third goals is just poor, really. Especially the third, like he's just in acres of space, like no one's even near him. And again, it's a great finish, but it's more frustrating because of how well we've been defending. And then we just kind of went back to, that was very, very last season. That was the defending that we shown today, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't believe what I was watching the first 10 minutes. I actually transferred Shaw into my fantasy team as well as Dallo because we'd only conceded one like the last 8, and then it just all started off like that. It was kind of shocking to see. But Jordan, I'll move onto the midfield because we've got a lot to talk about. We've got Ronaldo to get into. Ricky has some comments on Rashford I wanted to bring in that he's sent to me, so I'll get everyone's opinions on them. But we'll start with Donny, Van der Beek and Eriksen in the midfield because I thought Casemiro was class as usual. I think he was one of the only ones that was pretty decent. Eriksen looked knackered, was getting out muscled, just hasn't looked his best for quite a while now. And Donny van der Beek, for me, he just looks like a passenger in the game, constantly like not in the position to receive the ball, not really making an impact, a few yards behind, looks a bit slow. He makes some decent runs, but he just doesn't fill that midfield with presence. With Donny, do you think kind of we've seen enough now? Like this guy, I don't think he has a career at Manchester United. Do you think we need to sell him if he's not good enough? And then with Eriksen, would you be looking at maybe bringing Fred in? At least it's someone with a bit of energy, or McTominay even.
Donny. Kev knows what's coming.
I'm just waiting for the comment section to blow up. You talk away, Jordan.
I got into Donny the other day. And Donny FC absolutely hammered me in the comments. But guys, like this chat about he hasn't had an opportunity and he hasn't had a run of games and stuff. And I was saying the other day, like, we just need him to show something. Just give me anything. Just give me some kind of beacon of light to show me that, you can do it in a United shirt and give us an option to be able to rest other players in the squad. But again, today, ghost mode activated. He doesn't offer enough. I think when he first started playing for us, he was always showing willing to receive the ball, quick touches, and always an option to receive the ball. But he just doesn't seem to be doing that. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing, but we keep talking about he needs a run of games, but he's got to earn a run of games at the end of the day. He's got to show us something that gives us confidence for him to play the next game. And he didn't show me anything in Europe that made me want to start him this game. I come out and said that I didn't want to start him. And when we all went around, nobody said they wanted to start him. And that just shows us where we're all at. And I know, I can see people in the comments now saying, don't give up on Donny and all this nonsense. But, there's a comment there saying his confidence has been ruined. he's been with us. What is it? 3 years now. He's been with us.
Yeah.
Is it 3 years?
Yeah.
At what point do you say, do you know what? It just hasn't worked. You know, we need somebody like Donny to come in and take the pressure off of a Bruno, and he just isn't that guy. As for Eriksen, honestly, guys, I've been calling from it since game 2 that he played for us that we needed to manage his minutes, and I don't know what it is with Ten Hag, but he just seems to, like, he is one of his undroppables. It seems like, and he plays every single game that he's fit. But I don't think that's the right way to manage him. I would have put Fred in there. I'm not a massive Fred fan, as you guys know, but I just think it needed somebody with energy and somebody that was willing to receive the ball and get about that midfield, because they just completely overran us. They were young, pacey, and they just completely dominated Eriksen and Donny in there. Like, it just didn't happen. Not so much Casemiro. I thought he played really well, but yeah, Fred should have come in today. So, you know, you're allowed to criticize the manager without that you're not backing the manager. He's the manager we want and we back him. But sometimes he makes decisions and they ain't the right decision. And, you know, it's our job to call it out. That wasn't the right decision. He should have seen that Eriksen was running on fumes for the week, and he should have made that change.
Yeah, especially with how Casemiro and Fred, we know, can play together. I do think that is something I would have looked at. And I agree with you in that sense, in the fact that, honestly, on Thursday, because we've seen how burnt out, if Eriksen starts, I'm going to be annoyed, because he shouldn't be starting in a cup game on Thursday. And we'll have to see what happens. I won't be surprised if he does. I think Ten Hag's one of them managers that's like, I'm going to want to win every game. I'm going to play my best team every game that I can possibly play. But Eriksen looks the shadow of what he did. And we know what he can do. And he was such a big part of our wins when we started to pick up momentum at Liverpool and Arsenal. We want him to be that character, but he just can't do it when he's playing the amount of football he's playing. And United 95 said today's loss is on Lindelof, weak and feeble and scared. We'll bring in Lindelof.
Who's wrote that? Jay. That's a J.
I'll bring in Lindelof, because honestly, I weren't impressed on Lindelof's performance either. But before that, I just wanted to get Kev's verdict on Donny, Van der Beek and Eriksen as well, because I think it's quite a big topic today. I think they're one of the reasons we lost the game. Everyone was poor, but our midfield got absolutely ran through, and I just don't think Donny offered anything. Are you on the same kind of wavelength with Jordan on that one?
Pretty much. I would have to say that on the Eriksen situation, I mean, considering what that man has been through from a managerial perspective, you certainly have to give him a little bit of a rest here and there. He shouldn't be starting every single game, at least in that area of the pitch. I know we're not exactly blessed, but you could have mixed it up today, especially when you've got a McTominay or a Fred that you could have played. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the world beaters or anything, but when you look at a performance from Donny van der Beek, who in his defence has not really had any run of games at Manchester United, but certain supporters, probably like myself as well, and like we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, would say you need to earn that right to get into the team, and then you keep your place in the team. And that's a sign of you performing at the top level. To play Van der Beek on Thursday, who offered absolutely nothing, again, after the game, we're discussing the performance. We're disappointed by it. We're scratching our heads. What is Van der Beek all about? Yes, I'm defending him. I'm saying, yeah, but he needs a run of games. And, you know, Jordan's quite rightly saying, but I've not really seen anything from him. And I'm like, right. And then next minute, you know, I'm asked, would I start him against Villa? Which I said no. And then, like, Jordan's laughing, was saying, well, you're defending Donny van der Beek. Why wouldn't you start him on Sunday against Villa? And I just said, it is not the game for him. You know, it sounded crazy, the kind of debate that we were having. But I'm like, I'm singing his praises almost, defending him. And then I'm saying, no, I won't start him on Sunday, meaning today. And lo and behold, he was a total ghost in this game, a passenger. You know, absolutely nothing from him. And again, how far can I go and defend him? Again, I can say he's not had a run of games, but he's been thrown into that team today. Whereas maybe a Fred or a McTominay, maybe even, like I said, play an Eriksen a bit further forward. You know, if he is going to start him, maybe play him in the Fernandes role. So he's not doing as much kind of leg work behind defensive work and that. And maybe that could have been a bit different, because you know exactly what you're getting from Villa. And today, Van der Beek was disappointing, but a lot of them players were. Ronaldo was disappointing. If Ronaldo FC want to hit me up, fair enough. Rashford, terrible. You know, there's 5 or 6 players here. You're talking half your team that haven't performed. And when that happens, it makes it so much difficult for a game of football. You can carry 1 or 2, but not 5 or 6 that are just, you know, not even contributing anything towards a game.
Guys, I just got a question on Donny just quickly before we move on. I just see someone in the comments saying, you know, it's too soon to count Donny out. He's 3 years into a 5-year contract. At what point do we draw the line in the sand and say enough's enough? Because in 12 months' time, he's then in a position where he can go, I ain't moving on, I'll leave on a free. And then we lose a £40 million asset. So, you know, decisions have to be made and we have to start getting ruthless as a club. Far too many times we haven't made decisions. We've allowed players to go into the last 18 months, 12 months of their contract, and then the power's in their court, the ball's in their court. Like, you know, this summer, we got to make a decision on him. It really is now or never for Donny.
This is what I was about to. Sorry, Charlie. This is what I'll bring it to you now, Charlie. This is what I was about to say on Donny. Like, we've seen what we've seen, and we didn't think he'd have much of a chance. These last 2 games, he's played not 90 minutes of football. He's played 60 minutes of football 2 games in a row and barely had a touch on the ball. I just think, I know people can say he's come back from injury, people can say he's not had a chance. Then you start to question, why hasn't he had a chance? And you see a player's attributes. And I think where Donny's strongest is maybe coming on in the last 20 minutes of a game and trying to get a goal for running behind, getting some touches on, trying to break down a team that is hard to break down. Playing him from the start, I don't think he has a place, if I'm being honest with you. And when you're looking at having a deep squad, there's no point having players there that aren't good enough to win if your first team is out. You want your players that are coming in to be able to do a job of a good level. I don't think that was a good level today. He's not the only one. But Charlie, if you're looking, is Erik ten Hag now being as ruthless as possible? Do you think it's time to sell him? I think that could have been one of his last games, you know, for United, because I think in January he needs to be either a loan or a sell.
Well, I'm just looking. Van der Beek's played 56 games for Manchester United in his like 3-year that we're saying tenureship. Like that's surely, you know, more than enough time to almost come up with, you know, is he good enough? Whether he's been through, you know, he's nearly had more managers at United. Well, he has had more managers than he's scored goals and assists, actually, I think. So, you know, there's always the debate of 1 week he can't play as a 10, he should play as an 8. Then he plays as an 8, he should be a 10. Or he doesn't do that, he's a 6. You know, there's always, whenever he has a bad game in kind of whatever position, the excuse is, oh, well, he doesn't play that position, you know, let's play. And I understand he's a very likable guy. You know, he's quite quiet, quite timid, or that's how he comes across. He might obviously be completely different in the changing rooms, but, you know, he just, to be fair, one thing today early on in the game was I did see him telling people, you know, like, get up, you know, like press, etc. But I just fear for him that it is, you know, even if he does start to play that little bit better, it is almost too little too late. And obviously when he joined, he was always going to play second fiddle to Bruno if that was the position that he came to play. And obviously when kind of McFred were the 2 deeper ones being used, he wasn't getting a sniff there. So I don't know, just for his own, surely you're just not going to want to sit around and I mean, we could get what, 15, 20 million for him? January maybe. I think you struggle to get 20. It's just you look at that, like 56 games, and you know we're saying, you know, he needs a run of games, and it's just like,
well, it's like this comment here from Yoshimo that I wanted to bring in. Garnacho gets a sniff of the pitch and forces the manager to keep playing him. Donny gets his millionth chance and shows us absolutely nothing, but still deserves a run of games according to some. I don't think it's as far as that. Obviously, it's not his millionth chance. He's not really played full games of football. He's been unfortunate with injury, and he has shown some about like spells of good form, but I just think overall it's just not enough. And it's a shame because he's such a likable character, such a likable guy. We all wanted it to do well. I thought he was going to be a decent player for us in the end, but it just hasn't happened. But we'll have to see what happens on that. But Donny's moving like
Dutch Dele Alli. I've wrote him off now. I'm done. I'm done.
I think a lot of fans have, to be honest with you. Dutch tell you. I think a lot of fans have. We'll just have to see what happens. I've not really got any hopes for him after this game. I'm not sure if he'll play midweek again. Bruno's going to be back. We'll have to see. And United 95 says Maguire shouldn't have lost his place from a clean sheet. I mean, put that to you guys. Lindelof or Maguire, does it really make a difference? Does it?
No.
No.
Silence in the house. Silence in the room.
It doesn't, does it? It doesn't, does it?
I'm surprised he didn't play. I thought he was coming on, to be fair, after about half an hour. He was taking his bib off, I thought. I thought he was coming on, but yeah, I'm surprised he didn't start. But I don't think any of him being on the pitch is stopping any of those goals, in my opinion. You know, it's not. I don't think he would have done anything that wasn't already done. No. If anything, he would have made Leon Bailey look even faster than he was.
Yeah, I was going to say, he would have got spun into a different realm by that midfield today. Yeah. So, I don't think so. But Lindelof showed us today what he showed us in the past, which is, yes, he can come in and offer some games, but as a first team starter for us, he just ain't that guy.
Yeah, he can do a job.
He's not physical enough.
Weak, like the comment said before. He can do a job, and I like the guy, really like the guy, but he's not a Varane. Let's put it that way. He's really not, and I think he put Martinez in trouble a lot today with some of the stuff he was doing. He was moving out of position. He was coming to his man and then getting skinned. He just isn't. Like, you look at the aggression of Martinez. You see where he starts elbowing. I mean, I love Martinez pieces. And he didn't have his best game, but the aggression and going into everything. I know not all players are the same. But you saw Lindelof on that goal. What was it? The goal where he cuts back and Jacob Ramsey puts it top bins. He basically just ushers him into the box and like lets him just get a pass off. It just isn't aggressive enough, in my opinion. Vincent McDonald says Donny, Ronaldo, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire are done at Man United. I wouldn't say they're done. I think a few of them players definitely need to move on, but I wouldn't ever say someone's completely done. But some of them need to move on. And yeah, I think Maguire again is kind of what Erik ten Hag said midweek in the press conference. Lindelof is his third choice. That does seem like it is the thing now. Whether that'll change, I don't know. Would any of you guys bring Maguire in for the next game, actually, before we move on?
As in the cup game?
No, I'm talking about the next league game, Fulham.
No, I would rest. I'd try and make 8-9 changes for the Villa game to try and keep some of these first teamers fresh for Fulham, because that Fulham game is going to be tough.
So then you start Maguire in the cup game then? Yeah. I would assume. Yeah.
That's his level now.
And if he has a good performance, maybe he forces himself in. We'll have to see.
Listen, this is why I called it a couple of weeks ago, and people were like outraged. I honestly think he's gone in the summer. It can't carry on like this for him. Yeah, I do. Like, where's the ceiling for him now at United? Like, he's our captain. He is our fourth choice centre back. I think he'll go in the summer.
He won't want to be sat on the bench, and he's not going to be in the starting lineup when Varane's fully fit. And people talking about getting a centre back similar to Varane, a young centre back that we can bring through for when Varane's injured. Maguire isn't an alternative for Varane. He's just completely different players. So I think Erik ten Hag's made it clear he's not at the forefront of his plans. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I agree. I think he could definitely be gone in the summer. And I think it's best for his own career as well, to be honest with you. And we've got a few super chats. Sorry, go on.
No, go on. I was just going to say, how much do we think we'd get for Maguire quickly in next summer?
I think you could get 25 mil.
Jesus.
No,
Whirly and a can of Fanta.
You could get 25 mil. Like I think like a Leicester City play 25 mil if they're still in the Premier.
A curly whirly.
They're well good, by the way.
Every show you get me.
What about a swap for Maguire for James Maddison? Do you think that'd work?
No.
I don't think they'd have that.
I still think that there are clubs out there that would pay us decent wonga for Harry Maguire. I think Chelsea, in certain circles, he's held in high regard. Honestly, I think he's.
If he's playing in a back five, he's playing in a back five, someone will pay
2 DMs. Money.
Yeah, maybe.
Gareth
Everton would pay us big money for him.
Gareth Southgate could have done us an actual favour if he had the balls to actually say to Harry Maguire, "You need to be playing first team football to be considered for this World Cup." He'd have been gone in the summer. It's only because Southgate hasn't got the that strength. And Maguire's one of these people for England for some reason that he relies on. Tell me any other player in any country in world football that would be going to a World Cup Maguire's getting nowhere near Manchester United's team at the minute. Nowhere near it. Yet he'll be one of the first names on the England team sheet if he's fit to go to Qatar, which is crazy. You should be in there on current form.
Well, if he plays well, the only positive is it boosts the price up a bit for us, for other teams coming in to get him. But reading these super chats out, Chelsea, Spurs and Liverpool have been poor and inconsistent, while we have had the toughest fixture start. We could get top 4 by default. I mean, I don't think it'll be anything by default, but I think if we continue what we were doing, we could do. Siraj Ponaganti, I don't know if I butchered that name, said Van der Beek is not a cam. He is like an auxiliary striker. He can't play without an out-and-out striker. He needs a striker that can play false 9 and run, and then Van der Beek can spin in. He can't replace Bruno. Yeah, I definitely think they're different types of players, and I think a lot of our players are suffering off not having an out-and-out number 9, if I'm being honest with you. I think Sancho is one of them, but I'm not blaming anything, but I definitely think players are suffering because of that, and the team is. Yoshimo says maybe Newcastle could buy Maguire in January. I don't think it'll happen.
He wouldn't get into that Newcastle team. I watched them today, and I was really, really impressed with them.
Yeah, so Eddie Howe's doing a brilliant job.
And Trippier said they didn't play their best as well.
Yeah, Trippier is one of them that we should have. I mean, the price tag was silly when they came to us, but he's one of them that we could have gone and got. But moving on to the forward line, guys, because I want to talk about this. We're running out of time because there's so much to talk about, and we've got stuff to come up. But I think I'm worried. Honestly, I'm worried. Anthony has been a threat. He's been out. We've looked like not scoring a goal. We are struggling without a proper striker in there. I think Ronaldo he's just not good enough for me. I rate Ronaldo so much. I love him as a player, but he's just putting in 5 out of 10 performances every week. It's just not good enough as a number 9 of a big club. I think he has stuff to offer, but he can't be our only striker source. I think he's definitely someone that can offer us something, but he can't be someone that we have to rely on week in, week out. And I know people say just give him time, everyone misses chances, but week in, week out, it's the same. And I'm not saying it's just Ronaldo either. Rashford today, Ricky actually said to me when we was in Spain, he was saying, just watch Rashford closely, and every time he gets the ball, 9 out of 10 times he loses it quite quickly. So I watched him today, and it was an off game, and I do rate Rashford. He has strengths to his game, was defending him a bit, and every time he got the ball, he either dribbled into someone, did a flick that didn't come off, or lost the ball in unfortunate positions. Yes, he's playing on the right, but still, if you're a good enough footballer, you at least get the pass off and make space for your teammates. So, and then you look at the bench with Elanga, and Garnacho's just a kid. Sancho isn't on form, he's ill. Anthony's injured. We have problems with scoring goals, and I think Ten Hag, this is a problem he needs to fix. And I'll start with Jordan on this one. Do you think it's a new striker? Do you think the midfield isn't creating enough? Do you think our wingers aren't doing enough? What do you think's happening?
Well, I think if you look at Ten Hag signings, he actually only brought in one forward, where you look, he brought into 2 midfielders and 2 defenders. So I think it is the one area that he hasn't had as much of an impact on as obviously he would have liked to. And I think that hopefully January, but if not the summer, that will be an area that he focuses on, because you look at the options that he has got, and you take Anthony. It's just an attacking outlet. He can pick the ball up, he can beat a man, and he can turn defense into attack really quickly, where some of those other players just really struggle to transition that ball from midfield into attack. But Anthony is definitely someone who can do it. You take away the quality of Bruno and Anthony out of that forward line, and we just look so flat. So yeah, it does hurt me to see Ronaldo as frustrated as he is. I still say I would out of the fit available players, I would still play Ronaldo, because I look at the other options, and Rashford was the only other option at the time, and I'm just not having Rashford as a number 9. Martial being fit again, that's a great sign. Hopefully he gets a couple of minutes in the cup, and then he can start again then against Fulham, and hopefully he can stay fit and give us an option. But yeah, it is the area that Ten Hag really needs to focus on.
Yeah, and I know this is bringing up something from the City game, but I watched it and it was actually called offside, this goal. But that pinpoint cross, if anyone saw it, from De Bruyne onto Haaland's head, it was ruled offside. But it's just like, we never create anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he'll do one of them like 5 times a game. I think we just need to be more creative as a team. I wouldn't blame it on one particular person. I think we're lacking in a lot of departments. But Kev, I mean, I agree with John in the sense we have no other option than to play Ronaldo. But I personally think we're lacking someone with pace in that forward line that can hold the ball up, get in behind. If you're Ten Hag, January, do you think that's a position you need to prioritise?
I think he does need to prioritise it. And it does come down to, I hate saying Ronaldo's a problem because he's been a fantastic player for Manchester United. He's been absolutely amazing wherever he's been. But you do kind of feel like this is the kind of, we're getting to that point now of the breakup with Ronaldo. His body language, everything is off. And I understand he's highly driven. He's motivated. He wants to win trophies. He wants to do well. And yes, he might be annoyed at Manchester United, but you know what I mean? He did want to leave Manchester United. Silence speaks volumes. He never actually come out and denied that he wanted to leave. It's just he couldn't get a team to go to. So it's we're kind of stuck with each other at the minute. And the fact that Martial is injured, Ronaldo has been playing, but he's been offering very little. And I have defended him. I've said, listen, we don't put crosses in. You've got one of the best headers in world football in the middle there, and we're not supplying him. To me, his body language is well off, and it's only a matter of time before that starts kind of breeding into other players. You know, they are teammates on the field, and if Ronaldo doesn't look happy, it does go into other players will look at that. And what does it say for kind of team spirit and that? You know, we've seen the great Ronaldo at Manchester United, and we knew that when we brought him back to Manchester United, there was a chance. You know, it was going to go like this. He isn't the player he once was. And the way that Ten Hag plays, I don't think he fits the system as a number 9 at Manchester United. You're right. He definitely wants to go with pace up front. I think that's the why he's tried Rashford. It is all about pace. But at the same time, I'm certainly not saying that Rashford is better than Ronaldo. But the Ronaldo issue, if you want to call it that, the pantomime, the circus, it's becoming a bit tedious now. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure he wants to leave Manchester United. So if we can make that happen in January, it's just something we will have to move on from. Ronaldo will move on from it, and Manchester United fans will. It's just the way it is going to go. That is football. Players come and go. The club will always remain.
Yeah, I do think we are a couple of signs off being a lot more consistent and scoring more goals. And I do think a striker is a pivotal part in that. A lot of people saying number 9 won't fix anything, we're not creating enough chances. I think a number 9 will do a lot, to be honest with you. I think we've missed a lot of chances. I think we've not been able to hold the ball up. We've not been able to have a striker that can spin in behind and also hold the ball up and do them other things. I think if you merge Ronaldo and Rashford into one player, you've got your perfect number 9, but unfortunately that's not the case. Gary O'Brien says, I just wasted my 3-month member chat. Thanks, guys. I've just seen that and I tried to look for your super chat and I can't find it. So if you put it back in a normal chat, I'll try to find your username and read it out. So I'm sorry if I did miss that. But Charlie, lastly on Ronaldo, obviously captain today. What are your thoughts on him being captain? And I just think looking at him, just looks a bit out of place right now. Honestly, I think he looks a bit out of place. Do you agree with me on that? And do you think do you agree with Erik ten Hag's decision to make him captain today?
It's a bit of a strange one, I think. In the space of 2 weeks, he's gone from being disciplined to the point of, you're not being involved within the Chelsea squad and then being made captain. A little bit of a strange one. I think there's lots of players that you could have made. I think you could have made De Gea captain as a one-off thing. He's been captain before. Casemiro could have been captain. Martinez could have been captain. I mean, he obviously did get questioned about it, but in my opinion with Ronaldo, it's hard to say, but I just don't. And it's no disrespect to him because I think in another system and another team he can obviously score loads of goals, but I just do think that everything does need to almost revolve around him. I just don't think the system suits him very much, and that's why you're just not seeing the Ronaldo even of last season, which is just, not only is it obviously frustrating for him, it's obviously frustrating for us, because the better he plays himself, the better it is for us, and he's just not showing what he's capable of. You can see how frustrated he is, especially now. Defenders obviously are a lot more physical than what he would have been used to from his previous time in the Premier League. Obviously, you've got like VAR and a lot more physical in comparison to kind of La Liga and the Italian league. I just think that you can see the frustration. Obviously, he's having a wrestling match with Mings in the box. You can tell his frustration, can't you? In terms of he's not getting given, he doesn't get that yard of space as quick anymore. And yeah, I think you're all right in terms of his time is running out. But again, as Jordan says, would you rather play Rashford down the middle, who hasn't really done too well? Hopefully, obviously, Martial, as you say, is back, and that's a good sign. But it's just not. We're just not. It's like we've got our hands tied behind our back, and we're forced to obviously play him, even though he's not in the best of form. And yeah, I don't know. If Martial had been fit all this time, who knows what would have been going on with him.
Plus, as well, he's playing 90 minutes on Thursday night, 90 minutes tonight, and I know he's got an insane fitness regime and stuff like that, but he is still like 37, 38 years old playing top level football. Like, that's going to take a toll on you as well. But again, we've got no other option. And don't get me wrong, I do not think he was the main problem today at all. I thought the team was crap in general. I think there's a lot of things that need to be improved all over the pitch, but it's just a talking point. We're talking about Donny, we're talking about other different players, and I think it is a position that we can improve for sure. But everyone get your questions in, and I'll put some to the chat now, because we've got some time just at the end of the show to do a little Q&A. And you guys as well, the panelists, if you want to ask any questions to anyone else, get them ready as well if you've got a question to ask people, and we'll get into them, because we just about kind of, I think, covered everything there. But
so one question for you guys then before we do the Q&A. What's your thoughts on this team on for the Villa game? See you there, Beth. It's the tough question.
She don't want to answer.
She really don't want to answer.
What's your thoughts then, guys, about the amount of changes for this Villa game? I'm looking for radical changes. I am. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think changes as many as possible, in my opinion. Dubravka in goal, Brandon Williams, Tuanzebe, Phil Jones. Stick the lot of them out there. I don't care.
Go on, Kev.
I was going to say, well, I'm going to bat a question back. Do you just see the League Cup really as a non-existent trophy that Manchester United couldn't really use as a springboard if we were to win it? When you consider that Guardiola has taken this competition seriously. Obviously, Liverpool won it last season. Mourinho, in his earlier days, was it the first trophy that he won in England, kind of use it as a springboard? And I'm thinking, do we really want to rip up and make 11 changes to a team? We don't know what Aston Villa are going to do, but by doing that, are we giving ourselves a good chance? Or surely Ten Hag would look at this and think, it is a trophy. Don't get me wrong, It's got 3 handles. It doesn't look that great. But it's still a trophy, isn't it?
It is a trophy, and given how long we haven't won a trophy, we can, cock our nose up to anything. However, we have to start prioritizing, given how thin our squad is. I do feel like there's enough fringe players that you can make 7, 8 changes to that team to really freshen it up, given the fact that we've got Fulham then on the weekend. So, your Maguire should be able to come in, Wan-Bissaka should be able to come in. You're actually looking at it, and you're looking at a lot of the players that are our first teamers last season. Fred, McTominay, Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka. There's enough changes for you to make to really freshen that side up.
Yeah.
I honestly think on the game on Thursday, I think it's one of them where you have to, seeing the toll that the season's taken on us, you could really see it show today. If you have to say to me, you either win against Villa in the Cup or lose against Fulham in the weekend, I know it doesn't quite work like that. I'm saying win against Fulham at the weekend. The League Cup's nice and everything, but if you have to kind of prioritise competitions, I'm prioritising Europa League and the Premier League right now, if I'm being honest with you. I think the League Cup is going to be so much harder to win with the likes of Man City in there, Arsenal, like players, like teams that are doing really well and have the squad depth to compete. And I think even if we play our strongest team on Thursday, you could get burnt out and end up not winning it anyway, with the way Villa have kind of played today and have that confidence. So I'd be rotating quite heavily, to be honest with you. Everyone agree?
Charlie?
Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah. But looking at the game against Villa on Thursday, who would you actually play in the forward positions? Because we don't seem to have that much depth there. Charlie, who would you be playing along the front three?
Do we reckon that Sancho and Anthony are going to be fit by then, or not ill, or whatever's wrong with whatever's wrong? I mean, if so, I mean, I think Martial's got to play in some capacity for me, whether he starts, comes off, or it's 20 minutes, however long I think he's got to play, obviously. And then since Sancho, obviously, I mean, if he's available, he's got to play. And probably Anthony as well. I mean, how many games have they missed now? Is that 2? Sancho might be a bit longer, obviously, but
they've missed 3.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, it's a significant time, and obviously they would have missed out on a fair few games. So they should be able to obviously go Thursday, Sunday. Yeah, I mean, in terms of everyone else, I agree. Yeah, your Maguires, Fred, McTominay. And it's even why not go for someone of a Zidane Iqbal or someone like that, give another young kid a chance to see what they're capable of. Wan-Bissaka as well. I actually do, and I said this, I think, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I do actually really want to see Dubravka in goal. It's weird. Like, I don't actually know why. Not because he's going to be any better than De Gea or something. It's just like something about having a different goalkeeper in goal. Just to see why we actually have got him on loan. It was, yeah, I just want to see what he's about, really. But that would be something I'd try and do.
I do think Dallo will start because he's suspended against Fulham. I know I need to come to you guys. Against Fulham, we don't have Dallo now. Picked up a stupid yellow card. It's so frustrating because he's just a guy that we can't. That's going to be a loss, I think. You're looking towards the Fulham game. Do you bring Wan-Bissaka back in, or do you go with Malacia there?
Have to be Malacia. I would have thought he has brought him on before, hasn't he? And he's managed to get Luke Shaw in at left, and he has tried Malacia on that right hand side. So I think that looking ahead, because Dallo doesn't really have that much competition in his place, then it's certainly an area of the pitch that he can come into. But I mean, on what was a pretty shit day for Manchester United, I thought Dallo with Casemiro was one of United's shining lights today. Again, he just continues to absolutely baffle me. I cannot believe this guy was like sent out on loan to AC Milan. You know, he wasn't even being considered by Solskjaer. The improvement in that lad, it's been an absolute joy to see. It really is, because as Man United fans over the years under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, nobody ever really kicked on. And this is the first one that you kind of look at now under the new regime, who is just getting better and better defensively, better getting forward, decision-making, everything's coming together. And that's certainly one area in the summer where you'd be looking at renewing his contract, because I think he comes into his last year, doesn't he? And one thing you would not want to do is put all that time and effort and start to see a player that's developing there and then lose him, because that would be typical of Manchester United, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I actually think as well, along with that, I think moving on to a player that's also kind of starting to surprise us recently, obviously not to the level of Dallo. Dallo's been absolutely brilliant, but Garnacho looked so bright. And then today, obviously didn't have the best of games, but no one did. But he still looked okay. Definitely, I thought he was on par, better probably than Rashford, who is one of the senior players. I think if maybe Anthony's back fit and Sancho's back fit, Martial's back fit, they're going to play in the Fulham game. I think it'd be good to see Garnacho maybe have another run out against a Premier League side and give him another chance. Are you all in agreement with that one?
I wouldn't say against Fulham for me now. On the back of that defeat becomes a kind of must-win game to get ourselves back on track into the mix for top four. Now, I suppose it really depends on who's back and available. I would probably pick him over Sancho at the minute because he's unpredictable. If Sancho does come back, has a couple of, a week of training or whatever, I'd certainly go for Garnacho ahead of Sancho, but purely for the unpredictability of him. But if Anthony's back, I think it all sort of falls back into place. I think it's Rashford maybe out on the left. If Martial was fully fit, I'd have him up top. And then you could play, if Anthony's back in on the right-hand side, which would be, for me, the strongest kind of front three, I would say.
Yeah, I think Garnacho will definitely get some time at Villa because I think if players are back, he won't be looking to start at Fulham. And even maybe Palestri might get some minutes, He plays for Uruguay first team on the right wing, desperate for a right winger without Anthony there. See what he can potentially do. But I've got a question that I wanted to ask you all, and I'll go to Charlie on this first and then come round. My question is, in the Europa League, when we have to play them playoffs, obviously I think you've all seen the oppositions we could get: Ajax, Sporting, Juventus, Barcelona, Leverkusen, Salzburg, Shakhtar Donetsk, I think is the other one. Which team, if you had to pick one for us to play in the next round, who would you pick, Charlie?
Well, you were on the old flight back from Spain when we answered this one last time.
Oh, did you? Have you all done this already?
Yeah.
So you tell us, Beth, yours.
Yeah.
What did you all say, just so I know quickly?
Barcelona, I said.
Jordan?
Barca.
Yeah.
You said
Barca,
as well?
And right. Adam said Ajax because he wants a trip to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Who said about Juve and slapping Pogba?
I think that was one of the comments, actually.
Yeah. Genius.
I think whatever team we get, it's going to be like a story, isn't it? It's like we get Sporting Lisbon, Ronaldo and Bruno go back to Sporting Lisbon. We get Juventus, it's like Ronaldo goes back to Juve and Pogba's going to prove to Manchester United. We go to Barcelona, Ten Hag versus De Jong. We go to Ajax, Ten Hag versus his old club. There's always going to be something there. But personally for me, I'm going with either Ajax or Barca.
Yeah.
I think they'd all be a good one, but I think Ajax would be good. I think Ajax are a more beatable team, obviously. Still give us a good game. But then Barcelona, you're testing yourself against the best. And obviously another really nice city to go to. Get in the comments down below who you would go for as well. Who you would want in the next round. But the fixture congestion is actually quite crazy with the amount of fixtures we've got going on. And I think the World Cup's kind of coming in potentially. I was thinking it a bad time for us, but now I'm thinking a good time. World Cup happens. You've got fully fit Martial, fully fit Varane, hopefully back on track going into the new year. But yeah, a loss today, and I think it's one of them where we just pick ourselves up and we come back from it. Do you guys think we'll get the win against Villa in the Cup on Thursday?
I think it's so difficult to call that one because
you don't know the team.
Yeah, like on the United Stand Predictor, we'll get asked like the day before score predictions, and because you don't know the team, you're like, it could literally be anything. He could make 11 changes to that team. So unless you know the team and how kind of serious he's going to take it, and again with Villa, would Villa make a lot of changes? Or will Emre look at that and go?
I think they'll go for after today.
Yeah, I'm so they should. They played us off the park in spells today, so why not go for it?
And do you know what as well, with the Cup next week, if Ten Hag does kind of decide to prioritise the league and the Europa, you never know, he could end up playing like one of the kids and he could have a really, really good performance. And, that's where you start to see players come through and get some chances. And I think that's important too. But yeah, therapy stand tonight, and unfortunately we didn't get the win, but hopefully we get back on track going into the World Cup. But look, Kev, thanks for coming on at the show. Good opinions as always.
Thanks as always. Always a sign of a good show when it flies by like that. Can't believe we're nearly up to an hour. But I'm going to sign off by saying it's a bad day at the office. I'm just going to sound like a Man United player then. I was going to say we move on. We move on to the next game. Not the result we wanted. We move on. Thank you very much. In good company.
Yeah, good little sign off there, Kev. Jordan. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Love it. I don't know. It always feels better on a Sunday when we're all together.
Yeah, it does. The Sunday show kind of back in full force. And Charlie as well, thank you for coming on. And I think you're doing the 10 a.m. tomorrow as well. So you'll see Charlie there.
Indeed. Look forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully we get some positive news coming out and we avoid the negativity. But yeah, make sure you guys get in the comments down below as well why you think we got it wrong today. Was it Erik ten Hag? Was it the players? What are your guys' thoughts? Thank you for everyone's comments and super chats. I got to as many as I could, but hopefully the more we go through, the more we can get everyone's comments on the screen. And yeah, comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.